Hi, you're watching Reddit Revelations.
The cypress and the betrayal. The humid air of Mount Dora hung heavy, thick with the scent of cypress and the ever-present promise of a late-afternoon thunderstorm. Rick, however, felt the storm brewing not in the skies, but within his own chest. He gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, as he turned onto Oak Avenue, the street where his house, his life, lay waiting. Or so he thought. It had all started with a nagging feeling, a subtle shift in Elizabeth's routine. Longer work hours, hushed phone calls, a new perfume that wasn't hers. He dismissed it at first as stress, the demands of her career at the art gallery. But the whisper of doubt, like a persistent mosquito, had burrowed under his skin, refusing to be ignored. He'd started following her. It was a sickening, amateurish affair, filled with guilt and the constant fear of discovery. But the truth, when it finally materialized, was far more painful than he could have imagined. He'd parked across the street from the stately Victorian house where the gallery owner, Morgan Sinclair, lived. He'd watched Elizabeth's sleek silver car pull up, the headlights slicing through the darkness. He'd seen her get out, her silhouette framed in the porch light. Then Morgan's shadow, tall and familiar, had appeared, pulling her inside. That night, the world fractured. He'd spent the next week consumed by a raw, burning rage. He replayed the images in his mind, each frame a fresh stab. But the anger quickly morphed into something colder, more calculating. He was a man accustomed to order, to planning. He knew how to navigate the complexities of the corporate world. He could see a way out of this, a way to exact his retribution. Rick was a mid-level manager at Sinclair Enterprises, a company that Morgan's father had built from scratch. Rick had dedicated his life to the company, working long hours, exceeding expectations. He deserved the next promotion, the one Morgan had promised him. But now all that was secondary. He purchased a hidden camera. He installed it in a clock radio across from the art gallery. He waited. The next week was an exercise in torment. He watched Elizabeth, her usual warmth and laughter carefully constructed. He observed Morgan, the man whose power had corrupted everything Rick held dear. The camera captured it all, the stolen glances, the secret rendezvous, the final devastating confirmation. He now had the evidence and the leverage. The next morning, Rick walked into Morgan's office, the video evidence secured safely in his briefcase. "Morgan," he said calmly, closing the door behind him, "we need to talk." Morgan, a man accustomed to control, visibly bristled. He gestured for Rick to sit. "Rick, what's this about?" Rick placed the briefcase on the polished mahogany desk. "I have something that concerns you, Morgan," he said. "Something that could be a serious problem." Morgan leaned forward, his face a mask of carefully crafted indifference. "I'm always open to discussing company matters." Rick opened the briefcase and took out the hidden camera. "This isn't about the company." He pressed play. The images flickered on Morgan's large flat screen monitor. Elizabeth, her eyes wide with laughter. Morgan, his face blurring into a wave of lust. The color drained from Morgan's face. He sat back, his body rigid. What is this?" he stammered. "This, Morgan, is what happens when a man betrays his wife with his employee," Rick stated, his voice devoid of emotion. "This is my evidence. You can't. You wouldn't." Morgan shook his head, his eyes filled with a desperate fear. "You're a valued employee, Rick. We're a team. I was before this." Rick paused, savoring the moment. "I have a proposition. You get me the promotion to director, effective immediately. No questions. If you don't, I will give this video to the board and send it to your wife." Morgan sat in silence, weighing his options. The career he had built, the respect he had cultivated, all hanging precariously in the balance. He knew Rick was right. The board, his father, they would never understand. "Rick, what you're asking is simple. A director's position," Rick interrupted, his voice cold. "You're willing to pay any price to keep this from going public, aren't you?" The silence stretched, thick with unspoken words. Then Morgan crumpled. "All right, Rick. You win. You'll have your promotion." Rick left the office, the video a burning weight in his bag. He felt nothing, just a hollow satisfaction. The plan had worked. He was the director. He was still rich. He started the legal proceedings. Months passed. Elizabeth, oblivious to Rick's role in the affair, pleaded with him. Tears streamed down her face as she begged him to reconsider. I love you, Rick, she sobbed. I made a mistake. Please forgive me. He remained unmoved. He had no love for her. He only had ambition. He buried himself in his work. He excelled in his new role, his ruthlessness and ambition fueled by the betrayal. He was a master of his domain, but the seed of revenge, once planted, continued to grow. It twisted in his gut, a constant reminder of Elizabeth's deceit. The promotion wasn't enough. Justice had to be served. One particularly brutal Saturday, he decided to end it. He arranged a business dinner, inviting some colleagues and the chief of the board. The time had come to rip the Band-Aid off. He invited Morgan. He set up a projector in the conference room. He calmly explained to the board what had occurred, the evidence he secured, and the price he paid for success. People were shocked, appalled, and disgusted. The board immediately dismissed Morgan, his life and reputation shattered. When it was over, the silence was deafening. Rick felt exhausted, empty. The victory was a cold, shallow triumph. He went home, where Elizabeth was waiting. Her expression was a mixture of fear and sorrow. I should have left you, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I should have been honest. Rick stared at her for a long moment. I hope you're happy. You're a disgrace. He filed for divorce. The legal process was swift and brutal. The house, their shared life, was divided. The storm that had hung over Mount Dora finally broke, the downpour washing away the dust and grime. Rick stood on his porch, watching the rain lash against the lush cypress trees that lined the edge of Lake Dora. He was alone now, truly alone. The company of the past was gone. He had everything he'd ever wanted: career success, financial security, a life of his own making. But as the rain continued to fall, he realized that he had paid too high a price. In his quest for revenge, he had destroyed not just his marriage, but a part himself as well. He'd won. He'd gotten his revenge. But in the end, he was left with nothing but an empty victory and the bitter taste of betrayal. The cypress trees, rooted deep in the earth, stood as silent witnesses to his tragedy. He felt a profound sense of loss, of the life he was supposed to have. The rain cleared, leaving the streets washed clean. Rick went inside, the silence of the house now echoing the hollowness in his heart. His quest for vengeance had left him with the same thing he always had: nothing.